Splatoon 3 is very close to release, and there still isn't that many new things that we've seen. I mean, there's enough for it to be a sequel, but a lot of people are looking for the new mode, the new thing to do in Splatoon. So I've decided to take it upon myself and just come up with 3 different ranked battle ideas. Let's get into it. Okay, my first one, I don't really have a name for it, but it would be a mashup between Splat Zones and Tower Control. So there's this little box thing, and it is like the Tower Control in the sense that you're trying to push it towards the other team's base. It doesn't go by you standing on it, it goes depending on how much ink you have it covered in. For example, let's say I'm on the pink team and the opponent is on the green team. If this box is 100% covered with pink ink, then it will be going very fast towards the enemy base. If it's 50% covered with pink, then it'll be going half speed towards the enemy base. But if it's 50% pink and 50% green, then it won't move at all. If it's only 10% covered in pink and 90% covered in green, then it'll be moving at almost full speed but not. So you're constantly wanting to ink this base, even if you already have control over it. There's constantly more to do until it's 100% covered. This could be interesting because I think burst bombs would finally have a use in anything, because you could throw them. It's very quick to just cover a large area of ink on one thing. There's a lot to this one with like positioning and forcing your opponents away from it, because instead of tower control where like you just want to stay on it and like kill your opponents, that way they won't be able to kill you and take it instead in front of you, you don't need to be on it. So I can imagine like 4 people surrounding it, trying to push and defend it while it's going towards the enemy base. I don't know, I just think it could be pretty cool. This next one is a very good idea. I think could be very fun, but it's a little more complicated than the previous one. That is, capture the flag. You know, capture the flag, it's the game. You try to get your opponent's flags. Anyway, basically it's like regular capture the flag, but in Splatoon. And instead of there being a jail system, you just get splatted and have to respawn. So basically, each team has 2 flags at their base, and their specific where the flags would probably be pretty similar to where the podiums are in Rainmaker. I think that would just work fine. To knock out your opponent, you need all 4 flags, your 2 starting ones and your opponent's 2 starting ones. If you want to just win, then you have to have at least 3. It's a regular win, when the timer runs out. If the timer goes down and both team has 2, then it goes into overtime until someone gets a flag. I think Nintendo would have to do a little bit of reworking, because I can imagine that the game goes on for so much more time because then people are playing more defensively. So there might be like a buff system. One of the more complicated parts about this mode is where your base ends and the opponent's base starts. So you know how in Capture the Flag there's a line where once you cross it you can be tagged and then you have to go to jail? Well, that line will be implemented in Splatoon, but it's going to be a little bit more challenging to work through. You see, depending on where the line is, will be dependent on how much turf is inked from your color. If the green team has 50% of the map inked, and the pink team has 50% of the map inked, then the line will be right in the middle of the map, straight down the middle. If the green has 75% of the map inked, then it won't be. It'll be offset by quite a bit. So that adds a lot more strategy. Like maybe there's one person who their goal is to just get more turf, that way they have more line. Also, once you cross the line and go into attacking, you take a lot more damage than normal. That way, there's a reason for staying in your base. It's more dangerous to go out and to attack and grab their flag, which could add more stuff, which is why you want more turf and you want more stuff. You see how this could work? It would be kind of complicated to explain, but I'm doing my best here. I'm really trying. So in order to grab the flag though, you would need to go get the flag and then take it back to your base, and then eventually to your podium. My third and final one of today is some sort of King of the Hill thing. I don't know how it would work very well, but I can imagine there being like a tower that gets placed in the middle of the map, Like for every map, it would just be the same thing, I could think. Unless they want to do something special for each individual thing, which would be very cool of them, but I couldn't really see them doing it. Anyway, you would have to climb to the top, and then you have to stay on the top for 100 seconds. Kind of like Splat Zones, but instead with a tower. There would be a lot of strategy with covering up your opponent's climbing wall, like with their ink, and cover up their ink with your ink. That way they can't climb up until they add more. And there would have to be at least one person staying on the tower. And if there's only one person on the tower, then the counter would go very, very slow. With 2 people, then it would be normal. With 3 people, it would be a lot more. With 4 people, it would go very, very fast. But if you have all 4 people on the tower at once, then you have nobody on the ground defending it from the opponents. So you have that. I'm sure they could do something with it. I don't know. So what do you think? Are we ever going to see any of these new modes? Are we going to see any new ranked modes? And what are your ideas? I love your comments. Remember to like, and goodbye. See you next.